Scientists and inventors. Discoveries and inventions. An invention is a unique or novel device, method, composition or process. The invention process is a process within an overall engineering and product development process. It may be an improvement upon a machine or product or a new process for creating an object or a result. An inventor may be taking a big step toward success or failure. An inventor is a person who creates or discovers an invention. Although inventing is closely associated with science and engineering, inventors are not necessarily engineers nor scientists. A scientist methodically pursues an explanation of how some aspect of the natural world works. By observing things as they happen, testing hypotheses through experiments and evaluating results, a scientist seeks to control parts of nature in ways that can be verified and replicated by other scientists. Mathematics is key to successful science. The difference between an inventor and a scientist is mainly the results they each produce. Inventing requires patenting while making a scientific discovery does not. Scientists can contribute to research that leads to an invention, but an inventor is considered the chief creator of the concept and physical prototype of the invention. Similarities: both inventors and scientists are problem solvers working to provide solutions and improve people's lives. Research and development is important to inventors and scientists alike. Many scientists become inventors. We will explore some of the important inventions and famous inventors and scientists from across the timelines and regions or countries. Babylonia, Greek, Islamic Golden Age, India, China, and Europe. Inventions and discoveries of ancient Babylonia. The first map, cuneiform, agriculture, the concept of time, the first wheel, the study of mathematics. Greek mathematicians and inventors. In mathematics, the Pythagorean theorem is a fundamental relation in Euclidean geometry among the three sides of a right triangle. It states that the area of the square whose side is the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the areas of the squares on the other two sides. Archimedes' principle states that the upward buoyant force that is exerted on a body immersed in a fluid, whether fully or partially, is equal to the weight of the fluid that the body displaces. Archimedes' principle is a law of physics fundamental to fluid mechanics. It was formulated by Archimedes of Syracuse in 246 BC. Eratosthenes of Cyrene was a Greek polymath, a mathematician, geographer, poet, astronomer, and music theorist. He was a man of learning, becoming the chief librarian at the Library of Alexandria. In number theory, he introduced the sieve of Eratosthenes, an efficient method of identifying prime numbers. Islamic Golden Age. Ḥasan ibn al-Haytham was a Muslim Arab mathematician, astronomer, and physicist of the Islamic Golden Age. Referred to as the father of modern optics, he made significant contributions to the principles of optics and visual perception in particular. His most influential work is titled Kitab al-Manazir, Book of Optics, written during 1011 to 1021, which survived in a Latin edition. A polymath, he also wrote on philosophy, theology and medicine. Ibn al-Haytham was the first to explain that vision occurs when light reflects from an object and then passes to one's eyes. He was also the first to demonstrate that vision occurs in the brain, rather than in the eyes. Pinhole camera demonstration by Ibn al-Haytham. The use of a pinhole in a window blind to form an inverted image of an outside scene on an opposite wall of a dark room has been known since at least the time of the Arab scholar Ibn al-Haytham. The word camera comes from the Arabic word kamar meaning dark room. Ibn Sina, also known as Sina and often known in the West as Avicenna, was a Persian polymath who is regarded as one of the most significant physicians, astronomers, thinkers and writers of the Islamic Golden Age. He is known as the father of early modern medicine. Of the 450 works he is believed to have written, around 240 have survived, including 150 on philosophy and 40 on medicine. His most famous works are the Book of Healing, a philosophical and scientific encyclopedia. Folios from Ibn Sina's celebrated work Quanon fit Tib, known as the Canon of Medicine in Europe. It was translated into Latin in the 13th century and served as the principal textbook for medical students at several European universities until the 18th century. Ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi was a Persian mathematician, astronomer, astrologer, geographer and a scholar in the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. Al-Khwarizmi was working under the leadership of Caliph al-Ma'mun, the son of the Caliph Harun al-Rashid, who was made famous in the Arabian Nights. He oversaw the translation of the major Greek and Indian mathematical and astronomy works into Arabic, and produced original work which had a lasting influence on the advance of Muslim and, after his work spread to Europe through Latin translations in the 12th century, later European mathematics. The word algorithm is derived from the Latinization of his name, and the word algebra is derived from the Latinization of al-Jabr, part of the title of his most famous book Kitab al-Jabr wa al-Muqabalah, the compendious book on calculation by completion and balancing, in which he introduced the fundamental algebraic methods and techniques for solving equations. Al-Jazarī was a Muslim polymath, a scholar, inventor, mechanical engineer, artisan, artist and mathematician from Mesopotamia. He is not only known as the father of robotics, he also documented 50 mechanical inventions, along with construction drawings. He is considered to be the father of modern-day engineering. The inventions include the crank mechanism, connecting rod, programmable automaton, humanoid robot, reciprocating piston engine, suction pipe, suction pump, double-acting pump, valve, combination lock, camshaft, segmental gear, the first mechanical clocks driven by water and weights, and especially the crankshaft, which is considered the most important mechanical invention in history after the wheel. The elephant clock was one of the most famous inventions of Al-Jazarī. It was the first clock in which an automaton reacted after certain intervals of time and the first water clock to accurately record the passage of the temporal hours to match the uneven length of days throughout the year. Al-Jazari's hydropowered saqiya chain pump device. The first known use of a crankshaft in a chain pump was in one of Al-Jazari's saqiya machines. The concept of minimizing intermittent working is also first implied in one of Al-Jazari's saqiya chain pumps, which was for the purpose of maximizing the efficiency of the saqiya chain pump. Al-Zahrawi Ansari, popularly known as Al-Zahrawi, Latinized as Abulcasis, was an Arab Andalusian physician, surgeon and chemist. Considered to be the greatest surgeon of the Middle Ages, he has been referred to as the father of modern surgery. On Surgery and Instruments is the 30th and last volume of the Kitab al-Tasrif. It was without a doubt his most important work and the one which established his authority in Europe for centuries to come. On Surgery and Instruments is the first illustrated surgical guide ever written. Its contents and descriptions has contributed in many technological innovations in medicine, notably which tools to use in specific surgeries. Muhammad ibn al-Ḥasan al-Tusi, better known as Nasir al-Din al-Tusi, was a Persian polymath, architect, philosopher, physician, scientist, and theologian. Al-Tusi was a well-published author, writing on subjects of math, engineering, prose, and mysticism. In astronomy, Al-Tusi created very accurate tables of planetary motion, an updated planetary model, and critiques of Ptolemaic astronomy. The Tusi couple is a mathematical device in which a small circle rotates inside a larger circle twice the diameter of the smaller circle. Rotations of the circles cause a point on the circumference of the smaller circle to oscillate back and forth in linear motion along the diameter of the larger circle. The Tusi couple is a two-cusp type acycloid. Indian inventions or scientists. Aryabhatta was the first of the major mathematician astronomers from the classical age of Indian mathematics and Indian astronomy. His works include the Aryabhatiya and the Arya Siddhanta. For his explicit mention of the relativity of motion, he also qualifies as a major early physicist. Aryabhatta is the first of the great astronomers of the classical age of India. His major work, Aryabhatiya, a compendium of mathematics and astronomy, was extensively referred to in the Indian mathematical literature and has survived to modern times. The mathematical part of the Aryabhatiya covers arithmetic, algebra, plane trigonometry, and spherical trigonometry. It also contains continued fractions, quadratic equations, sums of power series, and a table of signs. Place value system and zero. The place value system, first seen in the 3rd century Bakhshali manuscript, was clearly in place in his work. While he did not use a symbol for zero, The French mathematician Georges Ifra argues that knowledge of zero was implicit in Aryabhata's place value system as a placeholder for the powers of 10 with null coefficients. However, Aryabhata did not use the Brahmi numerals. Continuing the Sanskritic tradition from Vedic times, he used letters of the alphabet to denote numbers, expressing quantities, such as the table of signs in a mnemonic form. Brahmagupta was an Indian mathematician and astronomer. He is the author of two early works on mathematics and astronomy, the Brahmasphita Siddhanta, a theoretical treatise, and the Khandakadhyaka, a more practical text. Brahmagupta was the first to give rules to compute with zero. The historian of science George Sardin called Brahmagupta one of the greatest scientists of his race and the greatest of his time. Sir Chandrasekhar Venkataraman was an Indian physicist known for his work in the field of light scattering. With his student K.S. Krishnan, he discovered that when light traverses a transparent material, some of the deflected light changes its wavelength and frequency. This phenomenon, a hitherto unknown type of scattering of light, was subsequently termed the Raman effect or Raman scattering. Raman received the 1930 Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery and was the first Asian to receive a Nobel Prize in any branch of science. Avul Pakar Jainul Abdin Abdul Kalam was an Indian aerospace scientist who served as the 11th President of India from 2002 to 2007. He was born and raised in Rameswaram, Tamil Nadu and studied physics and aerospace engineering. He spent the next 4 decades as a scientist and science administrator, mainly at the DRDO and ISRO, and was intimately involved in India's civilian space program and military missile development efforts. He thus came to be known as the Missile Man of India for his work on the development of ballistic missile and launch vehicle technology. He also played a pivotal organizational, technical, and political role in India's Pokhran II nuclear tests in 1998, the first since the original nuclear test by India in 1974. Kalam played a major part in developing many missiles under the mission, including Agni, an intermediate-range ballistic missile, and Prithvi, the tactical surface-to-surface missile. In 1998, along with cardiologist Soma Raju, Kalam developed a low-cost coronary stent, named the Kalam Raju stent. In 2012, the duo designed a rugged tablet computer for healthcare in rural areas, which was named the Chinese Inventions. The Han Dynasty Chinese court official Cai Lun is credited as the inventor of a method of papermaking, inspired by wasps and bees, using rags and other plant fibers in 105 CE. Gunpowder is a mixture of saltpeter, potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. Together, these materials will burn rapidly and explode as a propellant. Chinese monks discovered the technology in the 9th century CE, during their quest for a life-extending elixir. The Mongols soon emerged as an ambitious and violent society, and their conquests and invasions acted as a vehicle by which gunpowder would spread to the rest of the world. Silk. According to Chinese legend, Empress Lingxi was first person to discover silk as weavable fiber in the 27th century BC. European scientists, inventors, inventions, discoveries. Sir Isaac Newton was an English mathematician, physicist, astronomer, theologian, and author who is widely recognized as one of the greatest mathematicians, physicists and most influential scientists of all time. His book Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, first published in 1687, established classical mechanics. In 1666, Newton observed that the spectrum of colors exiting a prism in the position of minimum deviation is oblong, even when the light ray entering the prism is circular, which is to say, the prism refracts different colors by different angles. This led him to conclude that color is a property intrinsic to light, a point which had, until then, been a matter of debate. The Newtonian telescope, invented in 1668, and is the earliest known functional reflecting telescope. The 3 laws of motion were first compiled in his Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, first published in 1687. 1. An object will remain at rest or moving in a straight line unless acted upon by an external force. 2. When force is applied to an object, it will accelerate. 3. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Ernest Rutherford was a New Zealand-born British physicist who came to be known as the father of nuclear physics. In early work, Rutherford discovered the concept of radioactive half-life, the radioactive element radon. and differentiated and named alpha and beta radiation, for which he was awarded Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1908. He discovered proton in 1919. Niels Henrik David Bohr was a Danish physicist who made foundational contributions to understanding atomic structure and quantum theory, for which he received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1922. Nikola Tesla was a Serbian-American inventor, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, and futurist, best known for his contributions to the design of the modern alternating current (AC) electricity supply system. Nikola Tesla was arguably the greatest geek who ever lived, always fixing things that weren't broken and coming up with amazing inventions in the process. We have him to thank for alternating current, the modern electric motor, remote-controlled boats and, rumor has it, radar technology and wireless communications. To the development of the theory of quantum mechanics. His famous theories include quantum theory of light, special theory of relativity, the Bose-Einstein condensate, general theory of relativity, the photoelectric effect, wave-particle duality, most famous equation, E=mc². Sir Alexander Fleming was a Scottish physician and microbiologist, best known for discovering the world's first broadly effective antibiotic substance, which he named penicillin. His discovery in 1928 of what was later named benzylpenicillin from the mold Penicillium rubens is described as the single greatest victory ever achieved over disease. For this discovery, he shared the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1945. Stephen William Hawking was an English theoretical physicist, cosmologist, and author who was director of research at the Centre for Theoretical Cosmology at the University of Cambridge at the time of his death. Hawking's scientific works included a collaboration with Roger Penrose on gravitational singularity theorems in the framework of general relativity and the theoretical prediction that black holes emit radiation, often called Hawking radiation. Initially, Hawking radiation was controversial. By the late 1970s and following the publication of further research, the discovery was widely accepted as a significant breakthrough in theoretical physics. Hawking was the first to set out a theory of cosmology explained by a union of the general theory of relativity and quantum mechanics. He was a vigorous supporter of the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. English computer scientist best known as the inventor of the World Wide Web, WWW. He proposed an information management system on March 12, 1989, then implemented the first successful communication between a hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP, client and server via the Internet in mid-November. He devised and implemented the first web browser and web server, and helped foster the web's subsequent explosive development. He currently directs the W3 Consortium, developing tools and standards to further the web's potential. Solid, social linked data is a web decentralization project developed collaboratively at MIT. The project aims to radically change the way web applications work today, resulting in true data ownership as well as improved privacy by developing a platform for linked data applications that are completely decentralized and fully under users' control rather than controlled by other entities. Seventeenth-century inventions. First submarine invented by Cornelis Drebbel. The steam turbine is invented by Giovanni Branca. The adding machine is invented by Blaise Pascal. The barometer is invented by Evangelista Torricelli. The pendulum clock is invented by Christian Huygens. A calculating machine is invented by Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. The steam pump is invented by Thomas Savery. 18th-century inventions. Thomas Newcomen patents the atmospheric steam engine. Gabriel Fahrenheit invents the first mercury thermometer. For example, von Kleist invents the Leyden jar, the first electrical capacitor. Benjamin Franklin invents the lightning rod. James Watt invents an improved steam engine. Georges Louis Lesage patents the electric telegraph. Edward Jenner develops the vaccination for smallpox. Alessandro Volta invents the battery. 19th-century inventions. Humphrey Davy invents the miner's lamp. René Laennec invents the stethoscope. William Sturgeon invents the electromagnet. Louis Braille develops his eponymous method of raised printing to be read by the blind. Frenchman Barthélemy Thimonier invents a rudimentary sewing machine. Charles Babbage invents a mechanical calculator. Samuel Morse invents the telegraph. Elias Howe invents the modern sewing machine. Hungarian Ignaz Semmelweis invents antiseptics. Health science pioneer Louis Pasteur develops the process of pasteurization. Nicolaus August Otto invents the first practical four-stroke internal combustion engine. Thomas Edison invents the first commercially viable incandescent electric light bulb. Carl Benz invents the first practical automobile powered by an internal combustion engine. Gottlieb Daimler designs and builds the world's first four-wheeled automobile. Heinrich Hertz invents radar. Rudolf Diesel invents the diesel-fueled internal combustion engine. Wilhelm Röntgen discovered X-rays. The discovery of the electron by J.J. Thomson. 20th century inventions. The Wright brothers invent the first gas-motored and manned airplane. Insulin invented by Sir Frederick Grant Banting. The mechanical television, a precursor to the modern television, invented by John Logie Baird. Robert H. Goddard invents liquid-fueled rockets. The differential analyzer, or analog computer, invented by Vannevar Bush at MIT in Boston. James Chadwick discovered neutron. Bell Labs invents the voice recognition machine. The first jet engine is built. Texas Instruments invented the transistor radio. The double helix, the twisted ladder structure of DNA, discovered by James Watson and Francis Crick. Fortran, computer language, was invented. The computer modem was invented. Wilson Greatbatch invented the internal pacemaker. Jack Kilby and Robert Noyce both invent the microchip. The quark model was independently proposed by physicists Murray Gell-Mann and George Zweig. Chrysler paves the way for the era of electronic, rather than mechanical, advances in automobiles with the electronic ignition. Magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, invented. The Cray-1 supercomputer. Personal computer. Global Positioning System, GPS, is launched. DNA fingerprinting. Adobe Photoshop. Linus Torvalds build open-source Linux OS. Neil Popworth sent the first text message to Richard Jarvis, a director at Vodafone. Nokia first cell phone Nokia 1011. Google was launched by Larry Page and Sergey Brin. 21st century inventions. In 2012, a subatomic particle with the expected properties was discovered by the ATLAS and CMS experiments at the Large Hadron Collider, LHC, at CERN near Geneva, Switzerland. In the Standard Model, the Higgs particle is a massive scalar boson with zero spin, no electric charge, and no color charge. It is also very unstable, decaying into other particles almost immediately. Nearly a half-century ago, Peter Higgs and a handful of other physicists were trying to understand the origin of a basic physical feature, mass. 2013, Peter Higgs and François Englert won the Nobel Prize in Physics for their work on the Higgs boson. Capsule endoscopy was first used to treat patients in 2001. Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna share the award for developing the precise genome editing technology. Blockchain technology, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, mobile operating systems, 3D printing, the Internet of Things, IoT, are the main inventions of this 21st century.